Hey everyone, my name is Alex and welcome to Make It a Fair Fight, your menopause battle plan. Why is it your battle plan? Well, let me tell you. We all of us women, go through midlife changes differently on our diet, our ethnicity, our age, our activity level, and it is really a crapshoot. What it means, what you should do, what you should eat. I am a biologist. I went through 12 years of perimenopause. I'm going to talk to you about my story and I'm going to talk to you about why I came up with a battle plan. And I will tell you right now, there's not one other human being on the planet, not the doctors, not the other, hormone specialists out there. Nobody is giving you a step-by-step plan so that you can make your destiny better. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about my book. This is it. It's actually a workbook. This is my author's copy. It is a workbook. Why is it a workbook? Because I would like that everyone be journaling. This is a book I want you to write all over it. I want you to have notes. The book is in 16-point font. It is not a long book, so you're not going to sit and have this really long thing to read. It's meant for you to get from the beginning to the end. You could do it easily in a couple of hours, and then you can go back and figure out what you want your strategy to be. So let me talk a little bit about what's in the foreword so that you understand. And it describes the following, that every year, millions and millions of women enter perimenopause, and often without guidance and without support and the dignity that we deserve. And for generations, the medical community has really not understood how to handle women's menopause, going way back 100 years ago. Now, even 100 years ago, quick segue, is that they had been doing studies on midlife changes in women. And they knew that arthritis, for example, is related to menopause changes. The legacy of neglect remains for women in entering perimenopause and then going into menopause and beyond. Why is that? Well, about 24 years ago, there was a study on how hormone replacement therapy works in women. It came back that hormone gives us cancer. And the study was wrong, the age group was wrong, when they administered hormone therapy to women was wrong. And so the whole study, was flawed. And I talk about that in my book too. There's a whole chapter on it because I want you guys to understand that a lot of menopause activity right now is about what hormone therapy does for your body. The good news is, and you'll see these doctors online, there are a number of very compassionate doctors that have said, this is not happening anymore. We are going to advocate for women's health. We are going to get out there and talk about what hormone therapy does or doesn't do for women. We're going to talk about the different types of hormone therapies. There are women out there that are talking about the exercises that you need to do, the diets that you need to have. They go into length about all of these things. However, at the end of the day, it's scattered, right? There's no plan, hence this book. And in my last, now it's been 13, 14 years of talking to women, coaching women, and basically trying to be an advocate for their health, I've noticed that, women like me went through perimenopause alone, did nothing about it, refused hormone therapy, didn't understand the science, and suffered a lot. We suffered. And some of us came out on the other end of it, not looking so good. I was so freaked out about the changes in my face and my body that as someone who's a runner, I had to get that under control for my own mental health. And I do want to acknowledge for all women out there that the midlife change, this biological event that is perimenopause to menopause, can cause mental health issues in women. And we need to all acknowledge that and understand that if we're in our late 30s, there's a very important thing that you need to remember, that when you enter your 40s, while you might look better in some cases because you're older and wiser, your body will start to deteriorate from the inside out if we're not careful about what we eat, how we sleep, who we connect to, and all of that stuff. So, and if you're reading this book, hopefully you will, you're probably looking for answers, and that is so vital. And that's what this book is designed to do. It's designed to give women this 3-step plan. So let me tell you why I wrote this book. It really is a labor of love. My personal journey began when I was 44. I'm now 57. And when I was 44, I wasn't feeling so hot. I wasn't sleeping. One of my breasts swelled. I was experiencing fatigue and pain and brain fog. My face was sagging. My hair was limp. My muscles were sagging. I think I've gotten them back now. All this stuff was happening. I had this jelly roll, and I went to my birth mother because I'm adopted, and luckily I know my birth mother, and I said, "Hey, when did you finish up menopause?" And she said, "Oh, 56." And I went, "What? 56?" And so you have to understand, I'm 44 when I asked her this, and I'm like, oh my God, 12 more years, I need a plan. I need to figure out a way to get through this thing. So that's why I created the Menopause Battle Plan. So, entering perimenopause for me, it felt like being thrust into a war. And that's why I call this a battle plan, right? Our bodies are being thrust into a situation. I felt like I was at war with myself and that my body was at war with me. So in order to enter the battlefield and make it a fair fight for me to get out on the other end of it, I created this book. And the message that I have for all of you women today is that you do not need to suffer in silence, because I'm going to be talking a lot about this and hopefully saying some things that resonate with you. So, let's talk about remedies. What have you been doing? Oh, I've tried them all. I've tried the pills and the creams and the exercise programs, right? I've read books. I've watched podcasts. I've read countless studies online. I've done it all. And at the end of the day, I did find some things that worked, but I had to experiment. You spend thousands of dollars and you finally tell yourself, oh my God, someone's using castor oil. I'm going to put that on my face. Or somebody's doing this. Oh my God, I got to do it. Or look at all the viral products that are out there. And trust me, I bought quite a few and returned quite a few because they don't actually do what they claim. But you get so desperate, right? You just want to feel better and you don't know what to do. And the problem is our doctors don't really know what to tell us, which is even worse. So I made some choice decisions about that as well. And I've gained a wealth of knowledge. And I just want to say that I've also had countless discussions with doctors, with chiropractors, with naturopaths, with other types of therapists about the menopause journey. I've talked to hundreds of women. I've guided a lot of women. Let me tell you a story. The other day, I was buying bathing suits, and the woman behind the counter said, "My gosh, you look good." And I said, "Thank you, but I've been on hormone replacement therapy for a little over a year. That has been a game changer for me. I didn't decide to do it for a long time." And she said, "Oh yeah, my grandmother said that gives you cancer." And I said, "Your grandmother? That's 2 generations ago." You realize that hormone therapy is safe and actually a well-studied supplement for women. And she's like, "Yeah, no, I just know it gives you cancer." And I said, "Okay, well, look, I'm the Hormone Girl online. Please start watching my videos and let me help you get educated about the benefits of hormone therapy. And if you decide that you never want to take it, then let's change your diet. And there's some secrets that I'm going to tell all women. They may not want to hear it, but I've got a secret for everybody that's out there. And I will die on a hill with that message. So stay tuned. So, one of the biggest lessons that I learned, and I just mentioned this, is that I regretted not trying hormone replacement therapy because I was so scared. I didn't know what it was going to mean. My doctor, my general practitioner said, "You look fine to me." So I didn't have that as an option. So her thought was I'm not offering it to you. I'm like, "What? That is not the way that doctors should be talking, especially a woman doctor to a woman patient. We're not that far apart in age." So that was just unbelievable. But I have to say, even in menopause, and as I dive into the first part of this book, I'm going to say this. I still ask myself, when is the pain and suffering going to end? I'm not as in much of pain and suffering as I was before. I've gotten my body back. I got my muscles back. I'm running again. My face looks better. My hair looks better. My relationships are better. But I still have some brain fog. I still wake up with some night sweats. I still have itchy skin. And mitigating for all of that is hard. And I don't want women to give up hope. If you have the opportunity to transform your body in a natural way, again, we're going to talk about the secret to that at the end of this video. In the 3 phases of this book, there is preparing for battle. This is planning and preparation. I'm going to be teaching you the basics, decoding your own personal situation, and then getting into the mindset to talk to doctors. That is the first part of this whole thing. You need to know who you are. You need to know what you're going through. You need to understand your body. You need to understand what's going on with your hormones, because there's a lot of fluctuation happening in your body, and your fluctuations were different than my fluctuations, and they're going to be different than your mother's fluctuations, and those fluctuations are relative to your diet. Giving you a hint, to your diet. Your fluctuations are going to be relative to your diet, your general health, your weight when you go into perimenopause. It's going to be reflective of the stress that you're currently under and all of these things. So like if you're entering perimenopause like I did in a dead-end marriage, unfortunately, dealing with my own adoption and other types of issues like understanding that like my reproductive years are coming to an end and understanding that like this is depressing and sad and trying to give myself grace. Well, I still need to be the mom. I still need to be the wife, even if my relationship isn't working. I still need to raise my kids. I still need to pay the bills. I still need to be exercising. I still need to be doing all these things that women are doing. So that's kind of phase one, is we're going to prepare you for battle. The second one is storming the battleground, and I love this. This is where we're executing all the key strategies to figure out what works and makes you feel better and what you're going to do to use it. So some people find that they just can't drink wine anymore. I went through that. I couldn't even have a sip of it. It just actually made me sick. Well, the world will not end if I do not drink wine for a while, right? I had to either switch the type of alcohol I was having, or I just didn't drink at all, and frankly, that's not a bad thing. A lot of my friends actually gave up drinking, and you may not want to, and that's fine, but you're going to realize that you might suffer some consequences of that, especially early on when your body is fluctuating so much, okay? This is why we need to talk about this stuff. And then the last part is running the war, okay? You've planned, you know who you are and what you need to do, you've talked to your doctors, you've now stormed the battlefield. I've given you all the things that you can execute. There's a smorgasbord of things, right, in this 120-page book that you can do. You're going to write it down in the journaling pages. What's happening? How am I feeling? What's going on? And then you're going to empower yourself to move on. Okay, are you ready? So in this first video, we're going to dive into part one, which is called Preparing and Planning for Your Aging Future. This is the pre-battle phase. Before you storm the battleground, we got to get you ready. So chapter one, perimenopause, the period of normal hormonal decline in women. So millions of women are entering perimenopause like every minute, right? And society doesn't understand the magnitude of this transition. Generations, menopause treatments weren't really designed to help women feel better, right? They were designed to restore women back to their husbands. All right, get them sexually active again. Really? Well, that's what they were for, because no one could really understand the rest of what was going on with a woman's body, the hundreds of thousands of biomechanical, physical, and mental changes that are happening at the same time. As women age, our levels of estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone naturally decline, all at different rates, okay? And this triggers a range of physical and emotional changes in women. So if you've been all of a sudden rageful, sad, skin's itching, breasts hurt, hair falling out, lack of motivation, sexual dysfunction, painful sex, UTIs, bone loss, bone density issues, you name it, fibromyalgia, I could go on. There are 140 symptoms of perimenopause. Hot flashes, night sweats, mood swings, all of these things, they're all caused by this fluctuation of hormones in our body, okay? Think of estrogen in particular as a whole body hormone. It is here all throughout our bodies, and its fluctuations impact so many different things. And these hormone shifts happen gradually throughout perimenopause, okay? And once we reach menopause, which is a single one-day event, so a lot of people are like, oh, I'm in menopause. Well, you're not ever in menopause. When you are in menopause, that means it's one day, okay? So when you can say that you've gone without a period for 365 days, and I know that for some women you don't know because you've had a hysterectomy or whatever, but when you don't have a period anymore, then you're in postmenopause. So menopause is that, boom, I hit it, now I'm in postmenopause. You have walked through the door, okay? So you're now perimenopausal, and then you're postmenopausal. You're not menopausal, just to get the vernacular right. Okay, so as I say in my book, menopause is a one-day event occurring when a woman has not had a menstrual period for 12 consecutive months, okay? And for me, that was March of 2026, and my whole life fell apart. And that's when I finished writing this book, because I had to share all of the things that happened because it was so important. So as I mentioned, perimenopause is a transitional period, and the first phase of perimenopause, and sometimes there's even a pre-perimenopause, it can last for years. For me, it lasted about 12. And in my case, if you're, in your 40s and you're going into your 50s with this, it can be very, very difficult to navigate. So if you're over 35, you may start to experience perimenopause symptoms like irregular periods, hot flashes, fatigue, breast pain, stiff joints, and brain fog. And why is that? Because when we're 35, that is when we're at the height of our hormone health. That is when all men and women, boom, for some reason it's 35. And then afterwards, it starts to decline. For women, it's this ding, 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 ding of change. For men, so men also have estrogen, by the way. But for them, it's the opposite. Their testosterone tends to fluctuate, and then they also have estrogen that declines. For us, it's the progesterone starts to go crazy first. Then we've got estrogen also fluctuating at different rates, and then progesterone tends to go down a little bit less. And so what we're going to be talking about are the symptoms of perimenopause, because we are changing so radically during this period of time. And when you reach menopause, as I mentioned, and go into postmenopause, unfortunately, some of the symptoms experienced in perimenopause can continue for many years. I'm Exhibit A. That is absolutely true. I want to talk about the massive biological event, which is perimenopause. And so if you've been watching me on social media, I have actually coined that phrase a number of times. It is a massive biological event. In my case, since it was this really slow decline, I had a lot of time to think about, okay, I'm going to get sugar out of my diet. That's the secret. I'm going to get sugar out of my diet as best as I can. I'm going to reduce alcohol. I'm going to change the way I drink coffee. I'm going to maybe lay off the pasta for a while until my body stabilizes. And then I'm going to incorporate these changes slowly, by the way. I'm not perfect. It's like I can't completely go without sugar, but I really reduced it. It had a profound impact on how my body reacts to everything that I'm doing with it now, and supplements and all of that stuff. And I show a figure that shows the estrogen hormone level in women. The decline in estrogen and progesterone levels over time are huge. So when you're 35, you got them all. When you're 40, you're starting to get a little foggy. By the time you're 50, you've lost a lot. And then when you hit 60, your hormone levels are like at 50%. So if you can imagine, like I think of my ex-mother-in-law, she's now in her 80s. She never took hormone replacement therapy. She has no hormonal balance left in her body. With your diet, you can actually impact hormone levels in your body, because if you're feeding your body the right things and you understand how all of that science works, if you are one of these people that you decide, I don't want to go on hormone replacement therapy, or I do and I can't, there are a lot of reasons why you can't or shouldn't, or your doctors won't recommend it, then let's fix it with diet. Let's give you the foods and things that you need to stabilize your body so you can win the war. You can. You don't necessarily need HRT. Okay. And I want you to understand that when you see this drastic decline, for me, when I saw this image, I went, oh my God, I had no idea that it was this drastic. And that's when I was starting to form the basis of this book. And I went, I need to teach women about this, because they are not seeing this and they're not understanding the impacts. This is a major biological event. And so for me, after years of pain, weight gain, and other issues, I decided I didn't want to be defeated by any of these events anymore. So I created a plan for myself. I didn't want my muscles sagging. I didn't want my facial muscles forward. I didn't want to look like my grandmother. I started using different products, doing face yoga, using ways to reduce stress, and it's still a work in progress. So my goal, as we continue with the chapters ahead in this book, is to educate you about the basics of perimenopause and menopause science. I'm going to be providing with you a checklist with the items that you can leverage to give you more control over what's happening in your body. I love my menopause checklist. This activation list is like awesome. We'll talk about that in another video. And so this way you can handle your own care and take charge of your life. And that is what I want you guys to do. So that is why I call this approach like a 3-step battle plan, okay? So this is your menopause battle plan. There are 3 steps that you can take to win this war, and I want you to remember that there are 3 things that you must understand to make this work for you, okay? I'm gonna go through these here before we end today. Number 1, you need to understand what's happening to your body biologically. We just went through a little bit of that. Your hormones are changing, and they're changing drastically, and it's a huge big deal. And I want you to understand that because there are 140 symptoms of perimenopause, and I want you to get a clear sense of what your menopause journey will then look like. So the goal is in chapters 1 and 2, and as you go into your pre-planning phase, that you're going to start to map your journey. Okay, I'm so excited about this for you. You're going to get a clear sense of where you are in your journey. We'll talk a little bit more about hormone replacement therapy. And then the next thing we want to do is we want you to prepare for your foundational defense against the symptoms okay? I'll say it again. I want you to prepare your foundational defense against your symptoms. You're going to optimize your care, okay? So to truly get ahead of peri and postmenopausal symptoms and to win a war against your body, you need a clear picture of what's happening to you. What's happening to you? Do you even know? Have you been hormone tested? Have you talked to your gynecologist? Have you had a conversation with your doctor, and even if they threw you off and said, didn't want to talk about it, do you have a place to come? I'm hoping that you come here because I'm going to help you. I'm honestly, I'm so passionate about this that I will help you. And you need to figure out whether you need in-person care or online medical guidance. I did choose some online medical guidance. I talk about that later in this book because I knew I needed testosterone. I don't know why, but I felt I needed it, and I wanted to go to somebody who was going to prescribe it to me, so I did. And then I got hormone tested and realized I was taking a little bit too much, which is good because you don't want to overdo it. But that's why you need to get to know your body, take the right tests, understand what it's going to cost you. I want to talk about the fundamental pillars of your health, which is to maximize sleep, which is to conquer anxiety in this brain fog, because I got to tell you, the anxiety is real. It doesn't go away. It is very hard to mitigate for, and quite annoying if you're me and if you're somebody who's very highly prone to anxiety, as I am. I've experienced a lot of traumas in my life, and I have trauma bond issues, and so I know that. And I'm telling you this so that you understand me a little bit more. You may relate, okay? And I'm going to, in the second part of the book, where we're talking about your foundational defense, we're going to be introducing the actual tactics of the battle plan itself, right? Okay, we're going to be going through that together, where you can find some natural relief. So then the third thing we're going to do in this book, we're going to line up your targeted arsenal. It's an arsenal, right? And deploy strategic treatments to help you feel better and get all of this stuff under control, all right? Women in their 50s and beyond absolutely can be strong and have the physique we had when we were younger. I am Exhibit A. If you've seen some pictures of me online, I can fit back into my size 4s and 6s again. It's awesome. Okay. So at the end of every section, I have these notes. I know you can't really see that. Let's do this. Okay. How am I feeling right now? Okay. And I want you, if you don't have the book yet or you didn't download the PDF, totally fine. But I want you to get out a piece of paper. And after hearing what I just told you, how are you feeling? Are you feeling stressed? Are you feeling hopeful? Are you feeling like, oh my God, I've never heard this stuff before? I hope you're feeling like, wow, there's somebody out there that is going to give me a battle plan. And I want you to be prepared to go to battle. And I want you to write it out. So before we go into chapter 2, which is the next video, I would really like you guys to spend a little time journaling, and I want you to remember a couple of things. Do some major biological shifts that you didn't understand, you didn't prepare for. And none of us prepared for them because we're just living our lives, and we're busy women, and we're smart, and we're aspirational and inspirational, and we're trying to be good women, and the next thing you know, we are bonked on the head by all of these changes that we don't understand. And when it happens quickly, it can impact your marriage. It can impact your friendships. It can impact your job. It definitely impacts your health. We all know that. But when all of these things start to happen at once and the anxiety is building because nothing's working, I want you to know that I'm here for you. And I'm going to leave you today with this. As I promised, I alluded to this a lot. I honestly believe, and I'm speaking to you as a biologist, that sugar is a poison, okay? And if we do not collectively, especially in America, work to reduce sugar from our diet, so remember, our grandmothers who may have eaten a piece of apple pie before they went to bed, ate apple pie that more likely than not they made themselves, and they weren't eating power bars and eating sugar all day. They weren't having Coke. They weren't drinking 18 cups of coffee. They weren't having monster drinks. They were just eating their whatever they ate, but it didn't have preservatives. There's sugar everywhere. There is sugar literally everywhere, and we can't get it out of our diet. So now we have to really work harder, and it's unfair, but I'm going to teach you how to get through it. I want to let you know that it has been an honor to speak to you today, and we're going to have more videos. Have an awesome, awesome, awesome day.